Hey guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of where I'm staying here. Left the mountains the other day and we're out on a little bluff called Muy Nhan. So it's a beautiful little spot, but I'm here. Just wanted to share an article I found pretty interesting, which was talking about smart contract devs. So I've had a few devs on some of my streams before, and a lot of them have chosen to retain their anonymity, and a lot of it was because we had seen this kind of coming. We hadn't really seen it in the space, so this is the first example of what we were seeing. So I left the article in the description below, but a lot of this has to do with the Ether Delta case, which is still kind of ongoing right now. I hope that glare is not too bad. Let me zoom in here a little bit. But I think that this is kind of interesting to look at in terms of what we're going to be seeing in the future with the smart contract space. But now the SEC is kind of taking a stance that they're going to be this is kind of how they're classifying this in terms of the SEC verbiage. But they've been talking a lot about smart contracts in reference to Ether Delta. And so for those of you that aren't as familiar, the creator has been a little bit more out in the open, and so that put him at liability for unregistered securities exchange, basically run on a smart contract that if we're taking a look, is number 2 on DApp radar in terms of these two exchanges have been holding this top spot for quite a long time. But I thought this was kind of interesting, so it goes a little bit deeper and kind of talks about some of the notes and things like that, but basically providing an algorithm run on a computer program or smart contract using blockchain technology as a means to bring together or execute orders. So it's providing a trading facility. So I think there's some free speech elements to this, which is kind of what has been brought up a little bit and kind of what they were discussing. But basically, I thought that if we're living in a country that's really adamant about free speech, and code is essentially a form of free speech, right? So it's interesting to see that they're saying it's a very powerful piece of material that could be used, and and so I guess this is how they're going to move forward. So I think part of the issues, and they're going to be creating their stance on this, but I think this is a really good rebuttal to this. So they're basically kind of looking at the decentralized exchange space, and all this is really going to do that is basically we're going to see a true decentralized exchange survive, and they're going to basically be turning the liability onto the end user, because it is there's no if done in a way where you have an anonymous dev, there's no way to bring about charges against that individual, because it is it is code. So interesting stuff. I think it's kind of interesting to see how this kind of crosses over into the free speech space of writing code. Like some of the code that's on these smart contracts is very, very simple. It is very simple, and I think it was just kind of an interesting development. Let me check in with the chat a little bit. What's going on, Crypto Alex, Zoo Jersey, Crypto Griffey, IO Matt? I hate the SEC more than anything in the world. They're nothing but a bunch of assholes seeking power. They, unfortunately, people's paychecks depend on, the entity that they're working for. So obviously you don't want to get fired. And I think that's kind of one of the things I like. For me, kind of being in the corporate world and working in the corporate world, you can't really truly speak your mind and do some of the things that maybe warrant some of that activity, I guess you could say. So for instance, you know, I'm still kind of looking into this, the Osama situation, which I kind of blew up, but they did it in a way where they're protected by the corporate entity. And I think if you're able to break through that a little bit and provide some transparency, and the way that I did that was through a live stream, it kind of breaks down maybe some of those traditional barriers of protection for certain individuals that are able to, you know, swindle a lot of money legally and get away with it. And you know, I'm trying to bring a little bit of light to that, to the blockchain space, because that's something that unfortunately I've been a part of a couple of platforms that just haven't done as well. Some of them have been doing well, some of them don't, and that's just kind of the risk that I take. I'm kind of like a guinea pig, and I'm, you know, putting myself out there. But I'm also really trying to connect with you know, developers, like other people in the space, and I think that, you know, for the next few years, like the regulation aspects to it, how really in a lot of ways the U.S. is going to treat this, because this is not an issue here in Vietnam. They don't have like an SEC in the same way. It's just basically just said that it's illegal. But you know, people, you know, right here on Bitcoin.com, like I get these advertisements, these banner ads for Remitano.com. Buy Bitcoin in 5 minutes via bank transfer, cash deposit. So like that's the local way to do it here in Vietnam. And real simple, easy, straightforward. So yeah, speaking of that, everyone's like, I'm glad you got out alive. And it's like, I mean, I don't know, like I felt in control in the whole situation. Like I was just, you know, I was upset. Like he was the one that kind of like reached out and attacked me, but I wasn't really intimidated that. He was just upset that I was live streaming, you know. But I met with him. I met with him right before that, and I was very clear with him, and very, you know, kind of told him some things, and basically kind of gave me his story and everything, that I kind of knew what was coming. And I was like, it's not good enough. So, you know, they kind of asked us, is there anything else or something? I was like, yeah, there's something else. So like, that's when I would basically just, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm sorry. Like, and I'm putting together a video too for those people that don't really fully understand. I've been cutting up a lot of the video so people understand the whole story. Like there's a lot of history here that people don't understand, and why I did what I did. And you know, like I didn't really want to be the guy to, you know, do some of this stuff, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to step up and say something. And so anyways, like some of these newer, you know, platforms or whatnot, like, you know, we've seen kind of a Rolodex of platforms that have been trending on DApp Radar at different times. You know, the 333 ETH still holding fairly steady as the balance is kind of coming down. But you know, that's the style of that contract. This FCK contract was like #1 not too long ago, so it's come down. I don't know. It was it had its time. I don't really understand why it was doing that. Some of these can be manipulated. You have to understand that. Like we saw that with the farming games, but currently not a single DApp over 1,000 daily active users. So the space has died down quite a bit. You know, when we were seeing this earlier this year, kind of before the summer, like, I mean, there was several dApps that had consistently had over, you know, thousands and thousands of daily active users. So you know, and part of that's the bear market. Everything's kind of down a little bit, but you know, I think there's some interesting projects that are starting to come up. I'm doing some research on a few of those myself. There's a few other projects that I'm looking to get involved with, and I'm going to do some videos and some reviews on some of those when I'm ready. But yeah, nice little spot. They're building some new stuff over here. So maybe talk about a few more things, take a few more questions, and then I think I'm gonna go. There's a cool little spot over here. I think I'm gonna go explore a little bit and show you guys. Maybe we'll, something will be something cool will happen. Clover, that was investigative journalism, and it was amazing to watch. Thank you for having the courage to confront people on these issues and lives, so that people we can see. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be a new element of transparency with some of these crypto platforms. And I'm willing to travel and meet up with some of these, companies and add some transparency. So like I mentioned that I kind of have an open invitation with LA Token in Moscow, and I think that would be an interesting trip. And they're really, I really like what they're doing, and they have a different way of that they're kind of focusing some of their marketing. I think some of these platforms you'll see people will dive in and maybe get like maybe a big crypto YouTuber, a guy that's got a pretty sizable following, and just throw a bunch of money at him and hope that that's going to help with the marketing of the platform. I don't know if that's really necessarily the best way to go about it, but I mean, my style is much more of one of just authenticity, like show us what's going on and explain it to me a little bit, and if it's a legitimate platform, they shouldn't have any problem doing that. If they're hiding stuff or they're doing some kind of shady activities, those are the ones to kind of be wary of. Proof of Weak Hands has no headquarters. I mean, the smart, the DApp space, you can keep, it looks like that's what's going to have to happen, is you're just, if there, some of the regulatory bodies are going to continue to have this stance that they're going to bring developers, they're going to indict developers and bring prosecution on people for writing code for these contracts, they're just going to go anonymous, and that's not that hard to do. Or at least find a way to delegate liability. Like another way is to kind of maybe be like something like a project lead and not necessarily be the guy writing the code. I guess that's another way to do it, or get some lawyers involved. I mean, that's maybe in a lot of ways that's really all you need, is you just need a lawyer that understands the space, that can get into court and basically challenge some of these big entities like the SEC. And these other, like you're going to see the CFTC, a few other regulatory bodies that are going to be doing it. But it looks like it's kind of targeting right there on the SEC, CFTC. But they're seeing some people are basically looking to, as I mentioned on one of my previous streams, of basically turning this into a situation where it's considered property and it's not like a security in that sense. But if you go to Russia, you might not return with the Russian chicks. Maybe. Yep, we need legit platforms and everyone can invest with confidence. All right, guys. I think now I'm gonna pack up and go exploring a little bit. There's a cool spot here. So, you ready to go? What do you want? You know? Okay. You want to just leave my stuff here? Okay. Okay. I was in Delat in the mountains the other day. It was freezing. Now I'm at a nice pool. Personally, I think the only power the SEC has is what we give them. The U.S. Constitution only applies. It's all legalese. It's all legalese. It's all, you know, what you can prove legally or whatnot. But a little bit windy on my stream, but so sun came out. There was a huge storm that came through. It was like thundering and a lot of wind when we were up in the mountains. And I guess a lot of that, there was like a typhoon that was out in the south South China Sea. And looks like it's starting to clear up, but there was a lot of garbage on the beach that they had to clean up. I got a couple of cool places I'm going to go tomorrow. They've got these like white sand, kind of sand dunes and whatnot. So it should be kind of cool. I think I'm going to try to do my stream from there tomorrow. Some of the garbage is kind of washing up. No, the waves aren't very good here. You can't surf these waves because it's kind of like a bay or something. Like there's a lot of power behind it. Let me find a cool place to set up. Maybe answer a few more questions. Oh, this looks cool. I bet we'll see something in here. Something jumped off there. Stabilizer was working good. Was it not working before? I'm not sure. I know, like when Mr. Dow from Asama like was knocking it out of my hand. It was all screwed up after that. He was trying to break it because he was all pissed off that I was doing video. They got an island you can kind of go out to out there. It's like a little house out there. It's not that far. And it kind of bends around this corner over here. And that's kind of looking back at the beach area. So yeah. Try and provide some cool backgrounds to just kind of give me. Oh, look at this guy. It's like a oops, let's see if I can find this. What? This morning they had crab like all over the place, and they have these giant jellyfish that about like 1.5 feet wide that are all over the beach over there. So this is Mui Nai, Vietnam. So it's like few hours, maybe like 3 or 4 hours north of Saigon. And this is the South China Sea out here where we just had a typhoon, but as you can see, it's all cleared up. It's been storming and windy. Super windy these last few days. So tomorrow I'm gonna do one at the White Sand Dunes area. That should be kind of cool. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all staying online, and I'll catch you on the next one.